Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Calling All Bowlers. Today we're here with Miss Jen Bishop. Jen, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it very much. And we were talking beforehand about, where you're from, and you just said tell them Knoxville. I'm going to let you tell them where you're actually at so I don't mispronounce it.
No problem. I actually live in Lenoir City, just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give you the floor. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and just give everybody a history of your bowling, and a couple other things, whatever you want to let them know about.
All right. Well, I identify as a boy mom. I have two boys. One is 8, one is 22. So, a little bit of an age gap. One was born in Georgia, one was born in California. So, I've lived in a couple of different places in my life. Grew up in the horse world and taught riding lessons and trained horses and coached high school riding teams and had a blast doing that. And when we moved from California to Tennessee, I said, you know what? I'm done with that. Just going to take a break. I've been doing it literally my whole entire life.
Okay.
And my husband and I took the kid, the little one, and randomly went to Main Event Entertainment. I don't know if y'all have those
We
in
do.
Alabama. I'm sure they're
We've got
nation.
one.
Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
I actually had fun bowling for the first time ever. I actually actively disliked bowling. I didn't like it. It was not fun. The
Oh,
ball always hurt my thumb. Every time coming off, it would hurt the side of my thumb. So I
right.
never liked it. But we went. I must have gotten really lucky. I picked a house ball that was light enough and it fit me well. And I'm like, you know what? Kind of fun.
Okay.
I said, if I could actually keep the ball on the lane, it would be even better. So the next week I said, hey, why don't we, let's go back. Let's go bowling again. And then that turned into, hey, why don't we try this place down the street and go bowling? And it just kind of rolled downhill from there.
Okay. So you said Main Event. That's where
Yeah.
you're bowling at.
That was the
Okay.
first time I ever went bowling was the Main
At
Event
a Main
out here
Event.
in Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize. I got you there. Well, where are you bowling currently now?
So every week I go to the Pigeon Forge Bowling Center. It's actually
Okay.
located in their community center, right
Okay.
right in the heart of Pigeon Forge, which is tourist town USA and the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. And they have a 10-lane facility there. And
Ten
that's my
lanes.
happy place. 10 lanes.
10 lanes. Okay.
It's
I like
tiny.
that. A long time ago, we had 12-lane center here in Huntsville. That was where I frequent the most at
Mm,
out of all the bowling centers. So no, that's cool. It's good to hear still little centers like that.
yeah.
So okay. So from my understanding, you when did you when did you start like getting into it? You said you were taking lessons.
Yes.
And when did you? I guess are you bowling a league right now?
I am about to start my second summer league.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little tough to do the fall league because Lenoir City is actually an hour and a half from Pigeon Forge.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a little bit of a hike. I drive a bit to get there. So to do the league during the week with the child in school was a little
Right.
challenging because we like to
Okay.
do it together. So we actually did the summer league at Pigeon Forge. It was me, my husband, my sister-in-law, and my father-in-law. So we all
Okay.
made us up a little team and we actually ended up winning the league. That was the first time we'd ever done league in our whole lives, and we ended up winning it, which was pretty sweet.
Look at that.
So we're
So
coming in
you're
this year as
undefeated in your league then,
the
right?
defending title holders. So we'll see how it goes this year.
Oh, okay. So you're undefeated.
Undefeated.
All right. So how long? So has it been just 2 years you've been bowling?
That's it. We
That's
went
it.
to main event. It was over Thanksgiving break, I think, in 2021 was when we went, and I was like, that was pretty fun. So then
Right.
after Christmas and the holidays and everything, starting pretty much January of 2022 is when I said, hey, let's keep going. Let's keep doing this. Let's make it a weekly thing. And it just, I don't know where it came from. I really don't. I mean, it really turned into an obsession. I found my first YouTube video and I saw, are you familiar with the King of the Lanes Empress Edition, that little competition they have, that PBA thing?
Yes, I am. I actually am. Yes.
So I came across an old video of Stephanie Johnson
Okay.
winning that,
Okay.
and that was it. Like, I was nuts about bowling, and I'm like, Stephanie Johnson, she's so cool. She spells her name the same way my sister-in-law does. So I'm like, I have another Steph with an F. That's great.
Hey, there we go.
So
It's almost like it was fate that you get into the sport, right?
it was perfect.
Well, here's a question for you, or more or less kind of a statement type deal. Why don't you tell everybody your first experience when you guys joined the league for the first time? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, how did it feel from a perspective of somebody that's like, I've never done this before, and I don't really know there's a lot of unknowns with people that are starting out in league for the first time.
Absolutely. And we do nothing. I mean, I still wouldn't say we know a lot. um, it was overwhelming because we weren't really thinking about doing a league just
Hmm.
because I don't exaggerate when I say I was a terrible bowler.
Hmm.
So I started with the lesson thing so I could learn to just keep the ball on the lanes. But
Right.
everybody says, you don't have to be a good bowler to, that's what they have handicap for. That's the whole thing. So I had to talk the family into it because they were, they're just or they like to go every once in a while and driving all the way out there. It's a bit of a commitment. But I
Right.
worked my magic and they said, okay, we'll humor you. We'll do this. So we actually had missed the meeting. So we didn't really know what the rules were. We didn't really know, what the process was. We'd never done the cross lane thing before.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure being in leagues that it could be easy to mess that up and not know
Oh,
where you're at and where you're supposed to be.
absolutely.
But fortunately, I'd done a lot of YouTube research and I kind of had an idea of the cross lane and, of course, lane courtesy and all that good stuff. So it wasn't super hard to learn the rules and how to do it. Um, my husband, he's not a two-hander, but he's a no thumb
Yeah.
one-hander. And it was
Hmm.
a USBC sanctioned league. So beforehand, I had to make sure he was just throwing a normal drilled ball. So I
Right.
said, nope, we got to take your balls to the pro shop, make sure they fill the thumb holes so that we're all good and legal here.
There we go.
Nobody
Because
about the beginners and nobody did. It was great. And that's the whole reason we go to Pigeon Forge is it's very community oriented. There's a lot of older bowlers there that are just so sweet and so kind and everybody would help us and help us keep score and teaching us, oh yeah, look up here, it shows you which lane you're supposed to be on. Very supportive, good group of people.
I'm letting everybody know that's out there watching that if you guys have any questions for Jen or myself, let me know. I'm telling them to leave them in the comments
Perfect.
right now. So, okay, so you guys, you guys decided this is what you were going to do. You made the trek, like you said, what, an hour and a half from where y'all
Yeah.
are at?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you said it's in a 10-lane house, and that's another thing too with me is like I used to bowl in a 12-lane house, and I
Mhm.
know that close knit community type feel, and
Yeah.
that's always a positive when it comes down to it.
It
Um,
absolutely is, because people get invested in you and your story and your journey, and you see the
right,
same people over and over, and, I mean, some of those people have seen me when I couldn't keep the ball on the lane, and now they
right,
see me now, and they're like, "Man, it has just been really cool, being here to see this and watch you grow into the bowler that you are."
and that's what it's all about. One thing I've definitely noticed, and I'm gonna get into it here in a minute, is because we found each of our profiles on TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, the the I believe in like it being organic, it being a process, and especially when somebody starts from the bottom and they just start working their way up.
Mhm.
And we're in a world today where it's like we're all about instant results.
Right.
It's like if you take one lesson, you should be the next Jason Belmonte. That
Right.
mentality, and it's a very easy mentality to fall into, which is not the right mentality, of course.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Jen. Uh, so you went through the process, you're bowling in the league. Like, so tell us from the first night of league to the last night of league, what was the difference overall, like with your experience from start to the finish of that first one?
It was pretty big. I don't know what it was about the league atmosphere that really caused me to bowl so badly. I mean,
Mhm.
that first night, or there were, I think, 3 total weeks. It was a 12-week league, if I'm remembering correctly. There were 3
Right.
total weeks that I bowled under a 300. It was
Okay.
so bad. So I had like a 118 pin handicap. I had a really humongous handicap.
Right.
Um, but I had 3 nights that were like 525, 530. It was really good getting in there. Everything felt good. I've had a lot of fit issues. I call myself, if you kind of look at my socials, you'll see all the time, I call myself a princess. I have princess hands, princess fingers. I've had, bad issues with my thumb tearing up and dropping the ball. It's so frustrating. And that's really, I think, what derails me in a game is when I'm having
Right.
fit issues. In
Mhm.
league, I felt like I couldn't take the time to fix it,
Right.
because you've got all these people and it's only 10 lanes and everybody's got to get it done and get home. And, I felt like I couldn't take the time to fix the tape, do whatever I
Right.
needed to do. So I just dealt with it and did the best I could. So the good nights, everything fit well and felt good. And then I think, mostly what I was able to do was like, okay, 120. I could get to 120, 125. And that was kind of where I live, the mid part of the league.
Right.
But yeah, from beginning to end, it went from like 290 to 530. So pretty
Hey.
big jump.
No, that's huge. No, that's a huge difference right there. You're absolutely right. And just seeing those little results, like as you get through the league and you slowly and steadily increase. Um, what so when you did that league for the first time, what was the high average in that league?
Probably my husband. He
Okay.
is one of those kind of naturally athletic dudes that doesn't matter what he's doing, he's good at it. The only thing in life that I do better than he does athletically is I can ride a horse better than him.
Okay. All
He
right.
can't ride a horse very well. That's about it. And I can kayak. He can't.
Okay. How
But
what do
bowling,
you end up averaging?
he was probably averaging about a 160,
Okay.
which,
Okay.
considering the fact that the dude bowls maybe once every 3 or 4 months, is pretty
Right.
good.
Okay. No, that's good. See, that's another thing that probably helped make it a little bit more comfortable too is, you weren't around and again, like you see it on paper, if somebody's averaging really high, you're like, oh no, like, that's the impression I get. Um, when I first started this Thursday night league back at think about the late March, start of April, everybody was coming up to me going, why are you bowling in this league? And it's like, oh, I really want to have a fun night. I want to
Mhm.
get away from the two competitive leagues I bowl in, and I really just I want, whether it's practice or whether it's just relaxing and having a good time. It's what I've always stressed to people when they come in there and they're starting league for the first time. It's like, look, it's all about having fun,
Yeah,
and if you can have fun, the rest of it'll take care of itself.
right.
So, but no, that's good stuff right there, Jen. Well, what brings us to this? What is your high gaming series right now?
So my high game, I managed to roll a 234.
Ooh, okay,
It was
all
pretty
right,
good. I was really on that day.
right.
I
Hey,
rolled my exotic gem at the other house that I bowl at. I pretty much split my time fairly equally between a lane called Crest in Maryville
okay,
and then the Pigeon Forge Community Center. I'm pretty much at both places at least once a week. Um, but I was at Crest and I had my exotic gem and I have a really I had, it's not so bad anymore. I had a very bad miss right. And
hmm
I just nailed the line. I mean, I know I was missing my target and I didn't care because it just kept striking. And I'm like, hey, I'm literally rolling with it.
hey. When you've got area, you got to take advantage of it because sometimes that area will close up on you in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. I've managed to roll a 590 and a 591. So I haven't hit the 600 threshold yet, but kind of since that 234, I rolled a couple of other games over 200. But since then, um, I don't experience this on TikTok hardly ever, But
Mhm.
on Facebook, there's an awful lot of people there that are 300 average bowlers. I mean, it's incredible how every single dude on Facebook averages 300. I mean, and they're all perfect. So
Mhm.
they like to tell me how imperfect I am and what I should be working on and how I should be throwing the ball and what I should be doing.
Right.
So I understand the things that I have been doing incorrectly. It's kind of like I am, and I'm not afraid to say how old I am. I'm 45 years old. I started bowling when I was 43.
Right.
I'm an adult beginner. I am still a beginner. I didn't do this as a kid. I didn't take a break for 20 years. I didn't take a break for 30 years. I didn't bowl in college. I didn't bowl in high school. I did not bowl. I did not like bowling. I rode horses. That is what I did. I did not bowl. So I just started 2 years ago. And you can't go from here to Jason Belmonte
Right.
or Stephanie Johnson or
Right.
Doria Pyatt. I'm not those people, and I won't ever be those people. But you have to get to tiers, and
Mhm.
I've gone from this tier way down here. I've climbed up to this tier, and now
Right.
I feel like I'm kind of here. I've gotten in some good places. So since those high scores, I've kind of been like, you know what, scores, I'm not worried about that. I've got
Right.
to work on my swing. I've got to get my hand behind the ball, and I've got to really work on being consistent and smooth and clean with my release. So that's what I've been focusing on.
And it's and it's one of those things where you are doing it the right way. You're focusing on the small details, and it's like when I'm starting lessons with new bowlers, one of the first things I'll tell them is like I don't even put their name in for score.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, shouldn't we put our name in to keep up with the guy?" I'm like, no, we're not, because you're focusing on your score if the
Hmm.
name is up there and the scores are happening. Like, we're trying to work on the process fundamentally. And I
Yes.
really think that that's where a lot of people, they watch bowling on TV for the first time, not knowing everything that they should. And
Right.
that's not a fault to them. It's just they see strikes. So, the guys and gals on TV are striking a whole lot, and that's what's ingrained in their head. Is like, oh, well, when we go, whether it's fun night or Friday night, time with the family, what have you, they
Hmm.
have that misperception.
Yeah.
And and then, like, in your case, you, like you just said, 2 years ago, you started literally brand new
With
and
nothing.
working your way and piecing your way up.
Hmm.
Did you do that 590 and 591 with the exotic gym?
The 590 was the exotic gym. Actually, yeah, both of them. They were both with the gym.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Then is I want to ask you, what is your favorite bowling ball from 2 years ago up until now, or is that one going to get the nod?
It is not my exotic gym.
Oh, okay.
um, it rolls really good. It crests for me a lot.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what it is about the way that I throw that ball. It doesn't hook a lot for me. So, like I've said, I have a bad miss right.
Hmm.
So, on a lane that's well oiled, when I miss right, it just dies. I mean, it hooks super early and it just dies on me, and I can't do anything with it.
Right.
So, I just got me a phase two.
Mm,
I love the phase two,
I
and
hope Britt hears you on that too.
I love my phase two.
Hmm.
And it's really a toss up between the phase two. And I actually drove after it when was it? September of last year. I actually
Hmm.
drove to Plano, Texas, to Plano Super Bowl
Okay.
to take a lesson, my second lesson from Stephanie Johnson. And
Okay.
I had her PSO, Chris Warren,
Yeah.
drill me up a duo at his
Okay.
shop. So
Nice.
that right now, it's so good. Oh my gosh, that ball is so good. So it's a toss up between my duo and my phase two.
Well, I have drilled quite a bit of phase twos in the shop that I work at. It is definitely, a lot of people consider that a benchmark ball, and it's it's getting into that area of the original high road. The high road has been out for so long. I've got a feeling that the phase two is going to be in that rare air as well. So,
Absolutely.
um, well, let me ask you this. That brings us to our next topic here. So we were talking about TikTok earlier.
Mhm.
Tell everybody out there how your TikTok journey got started.
Well, my sister-in-law was always on TikTok a lot, and she said, "Jen, you really gotta get on TikTok." And at this point, I had gotten into the bowling thing, and I was watching a ton of YouTube videos, and, they started doing, like, little shorts and everything, and then you
Mhm.
see the little short videos with the TikTok stuff shared on Facebook, and I'm like, "Hey, that's kinda cool," And I started setting up, my phone. I just kinda propped it up on my shoe, at the table to film myself bowling so I could see what I'm doing because a lot of what feels good, you go back and look at it and you're like, "Ooh, I don't know what that was. We gotta fix that."
Right.
And I love music. So I made my first video like in August of 22, I think. Just one shot, I didn't know how to really use it or do anything with it.
Right. Of
And I
course.
just I just enjoy putting the clips to some of my favorite songs. So now it's definitely become every practice I get that phone out, I set it up. I've got a bigger tripod now.
Right.
I set it up, I record everything, and now I actually throw enough strikes and spares and good clips that I can, put them all together. And I usually do 6 or 7, shots per video, and
Right.
I put them with a good song,
Right. Do
and
you
it's just cool. I mean,
do you
I
use the
really can't
hashtags?
believe I've got so many followers. I really can't.
Right. Do you use like certain hashtags like every video you do?
I try to put, like, the brands. So I try
Right.
to do, Roto Grip Storm, Storm Nation, Storm Bowling, that sort of thing.
Uh,
I do, of course, the FYP stuff.
uh,
And I'll do if I'm doing a Christian song, I'll do country music, the name of the
right.
artist, or if I'm doing Christian, Christian music and the name of the artist,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Well, just to let you know, we got a comment here on Facebook from a Jeff David, and he said, "Huge improvement since I first met you. Hopefully, I am not one of those people that are telling you what to do. Keep up the good work."
Oh no, Jeff, he's my buddy. He's
Yeah.
one of the nice people. He's one of the good people on
Right.
Facebook. He's actually one of the only Facebook people that I have ever really listened to
Right.
and that I feel like respects the journey that I'm on.
Right.
He'll help me and give me advice, but he'll say, "This is what I think, but I want you to run it by Wayne first and make sure he's okay with it before you implement it."
And who is Wayne?
He's my coach.
All right. What's his full name? Give him a
Uh,
shout out.
Wayne Clopton.
Hmm.
He rocks. He's the
H-
best.
How long has he been working with you?
He's been working with me for almost 2 years. So June of this year will be 2 years. And we've worked off and on. We've kept a pretty regular schedule of about twice a month.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes I've done more if we were going to be like out of town.
Right.
But I average 2 lessons a month.
2 lessons a month. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another question for you. So pertaining to lessons, and I can come on here and I can say, hey, don't feel afraid to go ask somebody for help, or
Mhm.
go to your local pro shop and ask, to have a lesson if you're ever thinking about maybe your game needs a tune up. So from your perspective, let the people out here know that are watching, what is the process you went through when you made that decision, what you did,
Mhm.
and what made you want to go take lessons in the first place?
It was 100% fate. I mean, I'm telling you, this whole journey, when I figure out why I'm on this journey, it's gonna be like angels singing. This is definitely a trip from God. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
Um, but it I was bowling at Crest,
Okay.
and the pro shop operator there, super nice guy, he ordered a ball for me, and it was a Storm Tropical Surge. That was my very first ball. And
Right.
he goes, "Okay, Jen, how do you want this ball drilled?" And I kind of looked at him and I'm like, "With finger holes?
Yep.
What are you
Uh-huh.
asking me?" And he goes,
Right.
"Well, do you want it conventional or do you want it fingertip?" And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right.
what's the difference?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, conventional, you got more of your hand in there, and fingertips is just the tips."
Right.
And of course, house balls, I'd been dumping them in the gutter and throwing them away. And I'm like, I don't want fingertips. My brain was like, fingertip? No way. I'll definitely
Hmm.
drop the ball there. So
Right.
I said, conventional. Big mistake. But he fitted me, he drilled it. The ball felt good. Everything felt good and comfortable. And I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm going to stop throwing gutter balls. I'm going to keep the ball in the lane and hit pins. And it just did not work out that way. In fact, I think I threw that ball worse than anything. And it didn't have grips or anything because it was conventional drilled. And my crazy older son started doing some research and he goes, Mom, there's a Storm Pro Shop in Pigeon Forge. Did you know that? Because I told him, I said, I wonder if there's is there something wrong with my ball? Do I need those grip things? That's what I said. I'm like, do I need those grip things? Like, I don't know. I can't hold on to it. But I didn't go back to Carl just because he's just busy. He's real busy. It took probably 7 weeks to get that ball measured and drilled. And that was just a long time. And I wasn't even going to be able to drop it off with him forever. So when my son found the Storm Pro Shop, and then we figured out that the Pigeon Forge Bowling Center existed, it's like, oh, cool, let's go up there. And I walked in, and poor Wayne was standing there at the counter, and I'm like, hey, I think my ball's broken. Like, I need some help here.
Right.
He goes, well, let's go over here and throw some shots. So I put my shoes on. I just had everything in the car, put my shoes on, threw a couple of shots. So he's kind of like, okay, well, here, why don't try standing here, right there. Okay, good. Now you see that dot right there? He's like, try to throw the ball at that dot right there and see what happens. So he watched me throw for a little bit, and then he goes, yeah, I think we'd probably do better if we change this to fingertip, and this is why. And he explained it to me. And I said, oh, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Cool. How long will it take? A month or so? He's like, I'll have it ready for you Wednesday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, for real? So he took the ball, he plugged it, laid it out, did a fingertip drill for me. And then that Wednesday, he probably spent 45 minutes just standing at the lane with me, just helping me understand. I just didn't know. I did not know anything. And he told me, he said, you know what? This is blah, 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 blah. And they had a thing, and I said, oh, you do lessons? Sign me up right now. Sign me up. I'm going to take lessons. I'm going to pay you for your time. I mean, he did all that. He didn't have to do all that. So the rest is history.
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. And it's it's one of those things. It's come down to what I've noticed here in Alabama is, I'm in Huntsville. We've got a lot of transplants, people from different parts of the country coming in here because of Redstone Arsenal. And they are coming out, and they've got a lot of choices. So when they come in, I notice that when they come in, they have that same, where you began, with league bowling. They're like, oh, I'm not really good enough for league. And it's like, no, guys, you don't understand. And I have my Sunday night league. We are the damn good average bowlers, and it's one of those things. It's like, guys and gals everywhere. It's like, look, I've got people that average, 80 to 90, and they average all the way up to 220 in this league. And it's just a good old group of people.
Yeah.
And it's really all about cultivating. And that's one thing about my job that I love being in the pro shop is the simple fact of bowlers like yourself, come in and there's that little hesitancy, like, I'm gonna sound like I'm not knowledgeable about this. And it's one of the things I try to tell everybody when they come into the pro shop. It's like, look, we all started. Like, I started the same, like you coming into the shop. I did that a long time ago myself. So it takes a lot of courage and a lot of to have a lot of you really, this is what you want to do. And that's one of the reasons I when we were talking through message on TikTok, you were like, oh, find somebody else interesting or whatever. No, like, I immediately thought of you, Jen, when after the episode with Britt. I was like, look, I want to bring her on here too, because again, you have that start from the bottom, work your way up to where you are now. And I really think that a lot of people do need to hear that, because if anything, I think it will encourage them also to come out and join a league for the first time, get their feet wet in the sport of bowling and learn it, and maybe even, again, become close-knit in the community. Because I think you can tell me if you agree or disagree. I think overall, countrywide and everything, bowling is a more close-knit community than we may imagine.
Right. I agree. Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
my co-host for the Damn Good Average Bowler podcast, Curtis, he commented on here, and he says it's really interesting to hear how different bowling is in other states, but also how they are the same, almost like it's one community that spans the country. Just reinforcing what I just said right there.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Dale Reagan left a heart with a bowling ball and pin emoji as well. So thanks you guys for your comments on Facebook. Um, let's see here. So I didn't get to ask you this in the beginning, but how long have you and your husband lived in just outside of Knoxville?
We have been here we've been in Tennessee for 8 years.
Okay.
And we were in Maryville before, and we've been here in Lenoir City just about a year.
Okay. Well, if you guys heard that city she's in, I had a really difficult time pronouncing, so I was just going to leave it for her. you and earlier you said y'all came from California.
So we were both born and raised in Georgia, grew up in
Okay.
Georgia, got married in Georgia, lived there for many years in Cartersville, North Georgia.
Okay.
I was a riding instructor, horse trainer, riding coach, that sort of thing. And we kind of we we hit a wall in a way that we were like, you know what? We really would like a change. We've kind of been doing the same thing for a long time. My husband and I have been married this year for 25 years, so been married for a while.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we
Awesome.
kind of, and our oldest son, we only had the one at the time, and he was in elementary school, fixing to go up into middle school,
Mhm.
and that kid is freaking amazing. And he just had this brain um for plays, for reciting
Right.
things, for remembering things. And we
Right.
said, "You know what? I think we should move to California. We should take him, put him, get him exposed out there and see if it leads to anything."
Right.
So, we threw a dart at a map, and it landed just outside of Sacramento. So we
Okay.
drove out there for a little fact-finding mission, and kind of studied the little suburbs right there around Sacramento, and we landed on the little town of Natomas.
Okay.
So we moved from Georgia to Natomas, California in 2013,
Okay.
and our son actually literally won a lottery to be able to get to attend the Natomas Performing Arts Charter School out there.
Okay.
He did his middle school years at Natomas, the charter school. It was
Right.
wonderful and it was great. And then my husband and I decided that we were going to have one more kid, and all the family was back here in Georgia. And we said, you know what? We can't stay out here. And at that point, housing prices were starting to go up, and, rent had
Of
gone up
course.
every month. And it's like, well, we really need to get back to the South, especially so the new kid can have family around him. I said, but I ain't going back to Georgia. But
Right.
it was weird because we'd always wanted to move to Tennessee. We'd always wanted to live in Tennessee. It's like, we got to move from California. Let's go to Tennessee.
Right. Okay.
So kind of threw the dart at the map again, and it landed in Maryville. And we're like, okay, let's do it.
That's a how uh how many days did it take y'all to drive out to California?
We took 4 days to
Okay.
go out and 4 days to come back
Okay. Wow.
with
So y'all
one
had like
little moving van. We had a small van, not even the big van, a
right.
small van, and then a car hauler for our car. And we
Right.
stuffed the car full of stuff and then drove the truck there and back, the
which
pickup truck.
which way did y'all I mean, did y'all go up and go through the middle of Tennessee all the way out there or
Yeah, we did. We did the
okay.
middle part of Tennessee and then like Nebraska, Missouri, kind of skirting along the lower, and then kind of went up into California that way. We stayed in Las Vegas heading out, which was super fun. It was so hot though. We moved in July. Don't move to
Oh, okay.
California in July. It's 120 degrees in the desert.
Right. My
So
my co-host just made a comment here, and he says, "I love the taking a shot and just going. That takes such courage and a sense of adventure."
it was great. I mean, I have no regrets. My husband's like, I don't miss California. He's a liar. I miss California. It was such a good experience. I
Right.
mean, my older son, I can say, we couldn't buy you a whole lot of stuff. I mean, you didn't have a lot of things, but how many kids can say they've been to Disney World, They've been to Disneyland. They've been in the Atlantic Ocean. They've been in the Pacific Ocean. It's like a lot of people don't get to experience that. So I have no regrets. It was wonderful. We went to Yosemite and Lassen and the Red Rocks. We did all
Right.
the Las Vegas parks and Tahoe. And I mean, we saw things. We saw the redwoods. We saw stuff that you don't see out here on the East Coast.
Right. Have you been invited to go to the the USBC national tournament yet by any of the bowlers there?
A friend on Facebook has invited me.
Okay.
So
is that what you were telling me earlier? You're going to practice with them? Is that the same person or is it
no,
somebody else?
different person. There's a lot of people that reach out to me. It's pretty cool. I don't know if that's something that I'll do soon. It's something that I would like to do in the future.
Right.
I haven't really had much of an opportunity to do any actual competitive tournament things. My friend that I'm going to go meet tomorrow, she actually did try to get me to do like the Tennessee State Queens and stuff. She's like, Jen, you just got to do it. And I said, look, you don't understand. The last time I was out in public, I bowled a 60. I'm not going to a tournament and bowling a 60. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to myself. It's embarrassing. I mean, even to people, it's issues up here that have to be fixed.
Right.
So that's why I said I'm gonna pick something different. So I did pick an event. I entered it and I paid for it and good to go. It's next month. The PWBA tour is going to be in Nashville at the Smyrna Bowling Center, and I signed up for the Pro-Am.
Okay.
So I'm doing the Pro-Am.
Good. That is good.
And my friend that I'm meeting tomorrow, she got signed up for it as well. So I'm like, well, we know each other so well via Facebook. We've got to actually meet in person. So
there you go.
Yeah, we're actually going to meet in person and we're going to practice together, and we'll be doing the Pro-Am together. So,
and when did you say that was again? When was that Pro-Am?
May 28th, I think it is. It's the date.
Okay. Yeah. How many leagues? You did was one league this past fall?
That's it. Just the summer league. That's all I've done, and then we're doing the summer league again this year.
All right. So that's going to be the only one.
Yeah.
Okay. What night is that on?
It's Monday night. Monday night league.
Monday night. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're getting down here to kind of the nitty gritty here. Let's elaborate more on the TikTok adventure. So you started where you did. When did you notice like the traction? Like you started catching traction and it's like, oh wow, like I'm at this many followers that I am now.
Right. Probably once I actually started to be able to put more than just one clip, just having the single clip that wasn't even a strike shot because my husband was back there holding the camera doing funny things with it,
Right.
I'm like, man, he never gets my strike shots. He always gets my bad shots. But it was all I had. And I'm like, well, we'll post it. It's all right.
Right.
But once I actually started setting up the camera and getting good shots, and all of a sudden I'm throwing strikes and I'm picking up spares, and I was able to actually put multiple clips together, is when I kind of started to see people. But I think where people can relate to me a little bit is I'm just real. I'm like, guys, I suck at bowling. I'm a terrible bowler. Like, I'm not good at it. I'm not naturally good at it. It doesn't come naturally to me. I have fought myself. In fact, when I started taking lessons from Wayne, I said, look, if you want to fire me as a client, it's okay. I understand. I am frustrating to teach because it's really difficult for me to duplicate. And I said, I'm just afraid that there's going to be times that, you're telling me, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I don't have the brain to hand connection with bowling. Like my bowls are 14 pounds. I mean, you put my ball in my hand and then tell me, don't turn your arm until you let go of the ball. I can't do it. My brain doesn't compute. So something I've really had to work on. But I've been real with that and honest with that in my TikToks. And I'm like, this is it. Today was good. Yesterday was terrible. Here's the bad clips. Have at it. Enjoy. But the
Right.
community, the people there that comment, especially like Britt, I mean, they are the most supportive, great people. And there's one guy, I don't know his actual name, he posts Indestructible. I mean, he
Yeah.
says, he's like, girl, we got your back. He's like, if anybody ever says anything negative, we will come in there and tell them what's what.
Right.
So it's just a
No,
lot of really great. The community is like, go you. I mean, you do you and you have fun. And at the end of the day, we don't care if you release on the side of the ball. We want to see you go to Texas. We want to see you take a lesson from Chris Warren. We want to
right.
see you bowl with Stephanie Johnson. We want to see what you're doing. We want to see you
Right.
throw the ball and fall on your butt. And then you get up and you go, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
that video has like 18,000 views on it. I'm like,
You know,
I posted
and
it in all its slow motion glory. So,
yeah. Hey, the thing about it is like I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't have is the courage to put the bad stuff out there too. It's like it kind of took it as a personal challenge from Brett the other day. She was like, I don't think she was doing it to me directly, but I think she was indirectly. And when we were doing the filming for the Hammer Effect yesterday, I told my buddy, I said, hey, film me shooting this 10 pin. And I said, worst case scenario, I'm going to miss it and it'll be what it'll be.
mhm.
And that's when I picked it up and I was like, hey, Brett, I picked one up for you.
Awesome.
So, well, here's another question. So, let's say you've got somebody in front of you that is thinking about taking up bowling in their league for the first time. Um, what advice would you give them, or what kind of practice tips would you give them or recommend to them?
I would say work within your comfort level. And I'm a big fan of the foul line drills. I've really done a lot of work, in the beginning when I tried to do them, because I'm not gonna lie, my coach doesn't like them. He's a guy, he's been bowling since he was 15 years old. He's good at what he does. He doesn't need to do drills. He's like, he said, personally, I don't think they're all that useful, but I'm not going to tell you not to do it. Maybe it'll help
Right,
you. I don't know. He said, because everything about, your delivery is great until the last second in the foul line, and you can do it not moving. I see you throwing the ball and doing good, not moving, but as soon as you put it into motion, it's not good.
right,
Um, but like I explained to him, I said, look, I have to get the muscle memory somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere because I don't have it. I don't have any muscle memory. I have to build the muscle memory. So you've got to watch the YouTube videos, find the people that you like. There's a lot of good, you know, content out there. So just search bowling and go in there and look and see what kind of videos you like, what content creators speak to you, and just practice. Don't be afraid to get out there 2 days a week, 3 days a week, as often as you can get to the lanes, and don't worry about the other people that are around. Don't worry about pitching them in the ditch because I do it every single day. Just
hmm
keep going. Um, check your fit. Like I said, I've just had so many issues, and I finally talked my coach into doing the thumbs, the
hmm
changeable thumbs.
Oh, he's
Um,
an interchangeable. Okay.
never had them, never liked them, never wanted them. He said, "I've installed those IT thumbs for years, and I've seen them break, fall out, come out." And he's like, "I ain't doing it. You just need a good
Mhm.
a good thumb is all you need." And I'm like, "Okay, great." So I have a really good thumb in two of my balls, but these other two, they're not so great. They're not as good.
Right,
I can't if I need to be throwing my Idle Cosmos, I can't because that thumb is different than the one on my Hustle.
right,
It just is what it is. You can't, if you're not drilling it with a precision machine, if you're using, hand tools and stuff to get it right, it's not going to be
right.
exactly the same. And like I said, I'm a princess. I must have been born in Austria. I don't know. But little teeny tiny bits of feel, it
hmm
affects me. It throws me off. So Facebook, that was where they were good. They're like, Jopo, 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 go Jopo, go Jopo. And
hmm
Jopo reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're going to send you a thumb. You want one?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So they sent me a thumb. I took it to Wayne. He looked at it and he goes, "Huh, Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. He turned around, he ordered the Pro Shop stuff for it so that he could install them, put it in my
Right.
ball, and then put them in his balls.
There you go.
So that has been a game changer for me. So if you're someone that's just starting out and you're like I was and you feel like, I can't hold on to the ball, it doesn't fit right, it doesn't feel right, it's hurting me, go seek a second opinion. Do a little
Mhm.
research. Like for me, it was, a Storm Pro Shop. I got a Storm ball. I need a Storm Pro Shop. Maybe
Yeah.
someone with the Brunswick could do the same kind of thing. Look and see, are there any Brunswick certified Pro Shops in the area?
Mhm.
Seek a second opinion and make sure your fit is on. And, just make sure they care. Make sure they listen to you when you tell them, hey, this doesn't feel right.
Mhm. I completely agree. Like I use said I'm with Dice and I use their balls and they're hit solid and I've never had a problem with them. And I know you said your guy said he did. And I mean, and again, that's the thing about it that's so great is there's options and you end
Exactly.
up finding the one that feels right to you. And that's wonderful stuff right there. Well, let me ask you this final question here, and we're going to get to the end here. Um, Anybody looking to get a TikTok, doing things that you've done with TikTok, what advice would you give them wanting to start their bowling journey on TikTok?
I would say create the kind of content you want to create. Don't look at other people's stuff. I mean, if you look at, I mean, you had Britt on here. If you look at her stuff and my stuff, we post a lot of really different things.
Mhm.
I started and I maintain my TikTok very much as kind of like a bowling diary for myself. And I guess, and this may be bad because I am a content creator in this sense. I don't really care if people follow it or not. Like I didn't do anything special to have 1,200 people say, "Hey, she's interesting enough that I'm going to click the follow button."
Yeah.
I write a blog on Facebook about this whole journey and put the I put the movie clips with it so I can
Right.
see my progress. I like to go back to the beginning and see and go, "Oh my gosh, to see that and to see this, to look at that ball motion, throwing that tropical surge, barely, it's cutting across the lane because I pulled it so hard to be able to
Right.
do a nice, clean duo throw and it's 10 back and it's fabulous. It's a beautiful pocket shot. It's like, man, I worked hard for that and I'm
Right.
proud of it. So
Absolutely.
I like to see these and I like to listen, I like to listen to the music. I don't put much of anything else on there. There's really nothing on my TikTok except bowling clips.
Right. And that's the same thing with me too. It's like again, there's a little bit of, and I'm actually, I'm still learning too. It's like when I was talking to Brett the other day on episode one, she was like, we usually want to do 3 a day, because sometimes the algorithms are a little different.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let's get into this habit of doing stuff. And just again, like you said, you mix it up, which is really, it's different. I know in the beginning, everybody wants to see you like roll strikes and what have you. And I think that the reason for those is that gives people a better idea of actual ball motion of certain bowling balls.
Mhm.
But I love the way you mix your TikToks up. And especially like I said, you pick the music, and it's fun how TikTok works because when I put my last 3 or 4 on there, I think I did 4 last night.
Mhm.
It had like it picked the automatic music for you. It just gives you, obviously you could change it,
Mhm.
but the first one I put, like as soon as I heard it, I was like, wow, it's incredible how well thought out they think when you post your video and they try to match it for you, and that it's just amazing how that worked. And I was like, I'm gonna go with it, and it's just amazing how that works, and it's just cool to see how far you've come along from the beginning. It's just a really awesome thing, and I really wanted you. I'm glad you came on here to tell everybody about because it's a really awesome story to hear, and it's just those feel good type deals that everybody wants to hear a feel good type story. So I just want to say I appreciate you coming on here and talking with us. I know we're getting to about the hour mark.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
oh, absolutely, and Everybody, if you get a chance, check out my website, www.goodaverage.bowler.net. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram, and like and follow me on Facebook. And if you haven't become a subscriber to the channel, do like Jen here did and subscribe. And once again, Jen, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. I hope you do too.
All right. Hey, I'm looking forward to your live stream tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again, Jen.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Bye, everybody.